Okay, I think it's started recording. Yes.
Yeah, it started recording.
Yes, perfect. Okay. Hi, Aley. Welcome. Thank you
Hi,
for
how are
taking
you?
the time.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for taking the time out of your day to conduct this
Mm.
interview. We'll just start. You can just please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your study here at Goldsmiths as well.
Okay, so my name is Aley Din Barakat. I'm originally from Cairo, Egypt. Uh, and I studied in my bachelor degree. I studied computer engineering and graphic design, so I did a double major. And I was always interested in many things at the same time. Like I was interested in arts and technology and singing and drawing and yeah, so that that's why I did this double major because I couldn't just focus on one thing. I wanted to do something that is multidisciplinary. And then in my graduation project in my bachelor, I did a game. I developed like a board game. And that made me fall in love in the idea in the medium of games, and uh, it made me apply for Goldsmith actually for the master's degree in indie games. And yeah, so I traveled for the first time to London. I never traveled anywhere before during the pandemic,
Oh,
which
wow.
was a very intense but a life-changing experience, I think. And yeah, so I like Goldsmith was such an amazing experience for me because it's all about this multidisciplinary um, education, and like everyone in the course is coming from a totally different background, and all the professor encourage like they always encourage experimental projects and us exploring different things and going above and beyond, and which was like what I needed during that time and during my current phase. Yeah, so that's like a brief intro.
Perfect. Thank you. That's very interesting as well that you traveled for the very first time to become
Yeah,
an international student. How did you find that kind of transition? How was that for you?
I think, yeah, it was very scary. I wouldn't lie. Because I've never even traveled for like breaks, so I've like it was my first airplane experience. So yeah, there were different levels of like intensity, but I think I was so excited for it. Like I felt like it was the right time for me to go to explore different things and to find myself and to be away from my comfortable like bubble and yeah, and explore, and even if it's scary at the same time.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's great. That's really, really great that you did that and you pushed yourself out your comfort zone.
yeah.
Very good. So, when you studied your master's here at Goldsmiths, what was your dissertation or your end of year research about?
Okay, so my dissertation, my and like final project was a project about uh, my personal life basically, and it
Mhm.
combines psychology and combines technology and many different things. However, I developed an installation that is called the Game of Me
Yeah.
because it talks about my personal life, and it talks about very vulnerable and deep things, or like traumas and insecurities. It's a very unfiltered project. So people who do experience the installation do really get to know me in a deeper sense. And it reflects about a certain trauma that I think some people might have experienced or experienced in some way or another. Um, which is sexual harassment and how to deal with that and the process of recovery and all of that. And I think during my year in Goldsmith and in London generally, I was trying to, I was using all my projects and all the courses in order to heal and to process things. And I was doing my research all about therapy, and all the project was therapeutic for me.
Mhm.
And initially, and all the research was about like psychology, emotional regulation, and how to process traumas and all of that. And I didn't intend to make any of this to be like to showcase it anywhere. So because at the beginning I was so scared to talk about these things in public. So however, I think by the end of the year, um, I felt so empowered to actually share this project, because I feel like the more vulnerable and the more people tap into their insecurities and their traumas, the more relatable and the more people can connect with the project and with the uh, content of it. Yeah, so that was my dissertation and
Oh,
final
that's
project.
amazing. That's really, really amazing. And you're very brave as well to do your whole project about your traumas. And like you said, it's a very sensitive topic. So quite a lot of people suppress it instead of actually speak up and speak about it. So congratulations to you, and congratulations for your work also being in the VR and AR exhibition. So could you tell us a bit about that exhibition as well, and how you felt initially when you heard your your project got accepted into the exhibition?
Yeah, sure. So thank you first of all. And yeah, so yeah, like by the end of the when I showcased my project in like the final degree show in Goldsmith, like some of the attendees like told me to start applying for exhibitions, and to because they told me like some of those exhibitions, they are looking for projects like that. And I was like, okay, maybe I should try. And I applied for actually like 4 exhibitions. One of them was Laval Virtual, which is one of the first uh, AR augmented reality, virtual reality exhibitions in Europe, and it was in France. And yeah, I was selected as one of the presenters and exhibitors there, which was, yeah, like I couldn't believe it, because it means a lot to me that people can relate to the project, and that I feel like my voice is actually being heard and that I'm sharing my story. Um, because yeah, um, as you said, like lots of those sensitive topics, people don't really talk about them, and I personally was suppressing this trauma for a very long time, and it was getting a hold on me. And it wasn't until like I felt like people are talking about it here in Egypt that I felt more willing to talk about it and to release it. So that's why it's very important. Like it was very important to me to have my project out there in different places, and to see how people react to it and to have conversations about it. Yeah, so it was amazing, and I also got the opportunity to exhibit in London in EGX, which is one of the biggest gaming events in the UK actually, and it was amazing. At first, I was super scared because like everyone had like massive installations and the venue was huge, and I had my little project, and also although I was so overwhelmed by like everything, and I felt like everyone was like so much like they had very exciting installations and booths and all of that.
Mhm.
I saw like how the content and how my project can, even if it's small in size and it's very, it was taking a very little space in the exhibition. Like people started tweeting about the project, and I find people coming to me and like telling me that I heard about this project from this person and I saw a tweet and I wanted to check it out. So it made me realize how important and how powerful personal projects and things that talk about like more personal content and human and things that connects us all, I think. Um, yeah, and just before coming to Egypt, I exhibited as well in Berlin um, in a Maze festival, and I did a talk there, which was my first talk ever.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And yeah, so yeah, things has been amazing, and I'm so glad and lucky that I had the opportunity to study at Goldsmith because it made me really explore myself and explore and develop projects. And my advisors, all my professors, and specifically my thesis advisor, Dr. Professor Federico Fede, who's the program leader of the Indie Games course.
Mhm.
Um, like I wouldn't have been able to do with this project without him, without his support. And yeah, I think I'm talking a lot.
No, no. What you're saying is great, honestly. Yeah, you kind of fed into the next question, which was how did you find your study at Goldsmiths, which you kind of already answered. But if there's anything in specifically that you'd like to add extra, were there any modules in particular, or what you touched on your course leader helping as well?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot from Goldsmith, the idea of being in an environment where like my course, like I had people coming from a totally different background. So I was learning a lot from each and every uh, student, and as well the professors,
Mhm.
all my modules. Like I can't, like every module, like I learned so much from the course content. And the one thing that really helped me in the course and in Goldsmith and in my experience in general is that I was using the time and the projects and like the courses in order to really explore myself. So I was really doing everything to for myself, and it was a therapeutic process throughout all the courses. And actually, my final project was I've been working on it since the first course that I've taken. So like I've been doing some small bits and pieces, and then I combined them all and developed on them further in my final project. Um, yeah, and my thesis advisor, Fede, like I can talk for hours on him because I remember like the first time like we had our first meeting, I told him I'm not comfortable sharing, for example, my project idea, and he was very supportive of me, and he like he was always like never push yourself, and like whenever you feel comfortable you can share. And he was always like supporting um he was always very supportive of me and the process, and trying to encourage me. And yeah, I think I wouldn't have been able to do this project. And it's not really about the project, it's also about like me personally, like healing and finding myself. Like he was a big part of it, and Goldsmith and London as well.
Oh, that's great. That's really, really amazing to hear. So if I was to nudge and to ask, what would you say was the most memorable or your favorite part of probably the whole experience in total, not just studying at Goldsmiths, maybe living in London as well, or yeah.
Okay. I think the degree show was one of the highlights, like the degree show in Goldsmith,
Yes.
because I remember I've never seen the project, the installation fully working. I did it like everything was working last minute. Like the whole project being like everything working together. I've never seen it. And because I've always been working on small modules. So
Yes.
it was the first time I remember, and I had like few hours before the opening, and everyone in the course, like they were, because I was so stressed, they were all helping me in like putting things in the sticking things on the wall and making sure that everything is working. And I had some technical difficulties, and them being very supportive, and then seeing the project. And yeah, I was so proud of myself, and I was so happy to be surrounded by that kind of energy around me. And I remember like all my classmates, they were so proud of me, and I was so proud of them as well. And yeah, it was such a beautiful energy, very supportive. And Fede, like, yeah, he like was very supportive as well, and he was so proud of me as well. And yeah, so it was such a wholesome day, and it was my first time like showcasing the project as well and seeing the reaction of people. Um, and yeah, so many people like started after the experience started talking to me about and opening up about very personal things. And yeah, so I think that is one of my most memorable and moments, I think.
Oh, it sounds amazing. Honestly, it's so good to hear that you had a real supportive cohort of other students around you, and that they felt open or they felt willing to share after they saw your project, personal things with you. So that kind of connection, you would never lose it. You would never forget those kind of memories. So it's good. Um,
Yeah.
and touching on your project, now that you've exhibited it at the VR and AR conference exhibition in France, and then you also said was the EG one in England, was that for this?
Yeah, EGX was last year in London, and Berlin. It's called Amaze Festival, and it's like a festival for mainly experimental games, yeah, alternative controllers and all of that. So yeah,
Has the one in Berlin already gone, or you?
yeah, it was like few weeks ago, so it was the
Oh
most
wow!
recent one.
Oh wow! Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
And you're getting to exhibit the same project, or are they different projects?
It's the same project. However, every time I exhibited in a different way. So because it's an installation, so it really depends on the space itself. So every time it looks different and it feels different
Mm-hmm.
because as well, like my project has a performance element to it. So depending on who's coming and like it has a different energy each time.
Yes.
But it's the same project,
Mm-hmm.
different at the same
Yes.
time.
I can understand that. I can understand that. And throughout the different exhibitions, which one would you have said um, has created kind of more space for thought or space for, I don't know, healing or some sort of revelation, I guess?
I think Berlin is my favorite. I think it might be one of the best days of my life. But
Wow.
it is definitely my favorite exhibition.
Yeah.
And it was the most stressful one. And because I had so many technical difficulties, my flight was overbooked. I had only 2 hours to set up instead of full day, and like it was so stressful. However, the energy of the place and everyone in the venue, they were like trying to do anything for me to set up, and they were very supportive as well. And everyone in the exhibition, like the attendees, they are very passionate about indie games, and they all come from like they all do so many things at the same time. They are all polymath or like so I met so many talented people, and it's so easy to have a conversation. Like we go through like directly we have like very deep conversations about very personal things, and yeah, these type of connections they always stay. um, and I had my first talk there, and I think it was the first time that I actually talk about these traumas
Mhm.
like in a very direct way, because in my project it's kind of hidden, so people have to experience it, and it's not that, yeah, it's not that explicit. So having to talk about this in like in front of so many people, and it was like a different experience, and I think I learned a lot from the people there, and I had so many people come to me after the talk and just having conversations and like trying to discuss certain points and how I coped with something, and then sharing their experience and how they coped with a certain trauma. So it was so um, sweet and lovely, and such a learning. Um, like I learned a lot from everyone there, and everyone was super sweet,
Yeah,
and yeah, one of my it's definitely one of my favorite exhibitions and moments.
that's amazing. That's so, so good to hear. And it's always the ones that are the most stressful that end up being
Yeah.
rewarding.
Yeah, I was like like we were laughing because it was weird. Like everything like was like the flight being overbooked, so I had to take another flight. I went late. Like instead of going at 10 a.m., I went at 11 p.m. and like the cables weren't working and things, and we were laughing like, okay, obviously something is going wrong here. But we were like, okay, we'll push it through. We'll try our best, and like just exhibit what we can, like just do our best and see. And yeah, and it turned out to be an amazing experience at the end. Mm.
So great. So, what are the next steps for you? If you'd like to share, would you be exhibiting more, studying a PhD? What are your future plans?
So yeah, so that's a very important question that I'm still trying to figure out, but I'm currently applying for a PhD at Goldsmith. Uh, so that's a plan, and I'm also applying for other exhibitions, and I'm trying to develop my project further. So I hope to have like instead of like just a game that talks about my personal experience, like sort of a museum where you go and you experience the life of different people and see their embody their life and see life from their own perspective,
Mhm.
especially underrepresented groups. And yeah, so that is something that I've been trying to work on. Um, yeah, and I'm a musician as well, like on the side. So I've been working on music projects, and yeah, so I have like this track of music that is also ongoing, and I have my first album that I've been working on for 3 years now is like almost done. So that is something very exciting for me. Yeah, so yeah, that's
That all sounds really, really great. So you're multifaceted creative then.
it. Trying.
That sounds great. And I definitely pay to go to that museum. That's something that I would be very interested in. I'm very interested in people's stories, people's lives and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely go there.
I hope I can manage to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So our final question would be, what would you say to anyone who's looking to study the MA in the games at Goldsmiths? Your advice, your tips.
Tips for if they are studying there. I think one of the tips that, or the advice that, or something that really helped me in my experience, and I did unintentionally, is to have this mindset of trying to to explore different things using the courses and not limit yourself to like the deliverables and all of that. Just do follow your passion and try to find what really interests you in the course, and try to um, imagine or like have an idea of what you want to do after the course. So and explore and see if you actually like it in the course. It's like it's a phase where you can be very experimental and see where you want to work or what you want to do. So I think I did that unintentionally and it worked out for me. As well, like the idea of, I think, going with the idea of developing projects for yourself or something that is therapeutic for like the person, um, is something that it really it changes the whole experience, because you didn't. It's not about doing something for like a grade. You're doing it for yourself, and I think it ends up in doing like in projects that are special. Yeah, and I think the course, the indie games course specifically, it encourages that. So yeah, and yeah, also like it would like if you can trust yourself and trust your intuition and believe in yourself. I know it's easier said than done sometimes, and yeah, but like if you manage to find your voice, it's something that will be your blueprint in everything you do. So yeah, I think those are some of the tips.
Yeah, yeah, those are amazing and great tips. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It definitely seems like a course that encourages creativity, encourages you to express yourself through games or express your interests. So, yeah, you definitely have to try different things and be open to trying different things, and trust yourself is very important. Just in the process. But yeah,
Sure.
thank you so much, Ali, for
Thank
sharing
you.
your
Thank
story
you so much.
me today, and also congratulations again on the
Thank
different
you.
exhibitions that have accepted your project and that you've got to experience. I wish you more success, and I wish more exhibitions for you. And I hope you get in for that PhD as well. It would be lovely to have you as a PhD student.
Thank you
Um,
so much. Thank
yeah, so
you.
I'll end the interview here. If there's anything else you'd like to add.
I think like I'm okay now.
Yes, no
Yeah.
problem. We have talked quite a bit. Okay. You take care and have a lovely day.
You too.
See
Thank you. See you.
you.